I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing out some kind of confession or warning, but here I am. Let me start from the beginning. My name's Jake, and I've been married to Lisa for about 8 years now. We had a pretty good life, or so I thought. We'd go on family trips, celebrate holidays, and for the most part, I believed we were happy. She always seemed a little distant sometimes, but I chalked it up to her being busy with work or stressed about the kids. Nothing too unusual. But the signs started to pop up slowly, like little cracks in what I thought was a solid foundation. She'd start canceling plans at the last minute, saying she was busy with work when I knew for a fact she was. She'd get weirdly defensive if I asked about her phone or her whereabouts. Small things, maybe, but enough to make me suspicious. Still, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Then came the trip, a supposed family vacation to the coast with her sister, her parents, and the kids. Everything seemed normal at first. We packed up the car, joked around, and I even caught myself thinking maybe I was overthinking it. But about halfway through, I started noticing odd little things. Her phone kept ringing during the day when she thought I wasn't looking. She'd quickly hide it when I'd glance over. She was more touchy with her sister than usual, leaning into her, whispering, giggling, and I caught her texting someone late at night, which she'd quickly delete. I brushed it off, tried to tell myself she was just catching up with her friends or dealing with some work thing. Then on the last night, I found her in the hotel bathroom, her phone in her hand, her face tense. I didn't mean to look, but I saw the message thread pop up. It was from someone named Tom, and the last message was something about seeing her tonight and can't wait to be with you. My stomach dropped. I stared at it for a second, frozen. She caught me looking through the mirror and snapped. "What are you doing?" She snapped, her voice sharp. I couldn't even respond at first. I just handed her the phone and watched her face drain of color. She tried to brush it off, said it was a mistake, that Tom was a work client, that it was just sex, nothing serious, but I knew better. The way she was lying, the way she was acting, it wasn't just a one-night stand. She'd been sneaking around for a while. I was furious, humiliated, and broken all at once. How could she lie to me so effortlessly? How long had this been going on? And more than that, I started to wonder how deep this betrayal went. Was she cheating during our entire marriage? Was she with Tom only, or was there more? The worst part was realizing that I might have been blind, that I missed all the signs because I didn't want to see. I didn't sleep that night. I just kept staring at her, trying to process what I'd found. I felt like my chest was tightening, like I couldn't breathe properly. And yet, deep down, I already knew I had to confront her. I just didn't know how or what would happen next. All I knew was that everything I thought I understood about my marriage was crumbling before my eyes, and I had no idea what was coming. The morning after I found the messages, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a train. My mind was racing, replaying everything I'd seen and heard the night before. I couldn't get that damn message thread out of my head. I kept asking myself how long she'd been lying, how many times she'd been with Tom, and whether there was anyone else. My wife, Lisa, was still asleep next to me, as if nothing had happened. I stared at her, trying to read her face, but she seemed to have this uncanny ability to look innocent when she wanted to. I decided I couldn't just sit around and stew about it. I had to ask her straight up. I told her I needed to talk, and her eyes narrowed immediately. She sat up in bed, crossing her arms defensively. "What's wrong, Jake? You look like you've seen a ghost." Her voice was taunting, almost like she was enjoying my obvious pain. I clutched my fists, trying to keep my voice steady, but inside I was burning. "I saw the messages," I said quietly but firmly. "From Tom last night. How long has this been going on?" She scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Oh, that, it's nothing, just some stupid flirtation. It meant nothing, I swear. You're blowing this out of proportion. Tom's just a coworker, someone I talk to sometimes. It's not a big deal." I felt my blood boil. Not a big deal? Then why hide it? Why delete the texts? Why lie about where you've been during the trip? Her face grew defensive, and she started spinning some ridiculous story about how I was paranoid, how she was tired of always being accused of cheating. She said she was stressed, that she didn't mean to hurt me, that it was just sex, stupid, meaningless sex, she added with a sneer. I could see the contempt in her eyes as she lied, twisting everything to make it seem like I was overreacting. I didn't know what to say at first. Part of me wanted to scream, to destroy something. The other part just wanted to cry. Instead, I looked at her and realized that lying wasn't going to get her anywhere. I told her I needed space, that I was going to think about everything, and I walked out of the bedroom. I went to the garage, slammed the door, and just sat in my car trying to process what I'd learned. I felt numb but also furious. How could she be so calm, so dismissive? How could she lie so easily? Over the next few hours, I did what I always do when I'm overwhelmed. I started digging. I checked her phone again, her emails, her social media. I even went through her messages with her sister and friends, trying to find clues or something she missed. And that's when I saw something that made my blood run cold. There was an email from Tom, dated just a week ago, planning their next meeting, and she had even mentioned a hotel. It was all right there in black and white. I couldn't believe it. She was still seeing him, still lying, still sneaking around. And somehow I'd missed the signs all along. It hit me that she had been hiding this for months. Probably years. I started thinking about all the times she'd been acting weird, the late nights, the secretive phone calls. All the times she told me she was working late or meeting friends. The pieces all clicked into place. She lied about her whereabouts for so long, and I'd just been too blind to see it. I was devastated, angry, and feeling betrayed on every level. I didn't know how to confront her again, not without losing my mind. But I knew I had to. I had to get to the bottom of this, and I had to decide what I was going to do about it. After hours of staring at my phone, trying to formulate some kind of plan, I finally decided I couldn't wait any longer. I needed to confront her face to face. I went back to the bedroom, found her sitting on the bed, pretending to look innocent, her face a little too calm. I could tell she was trying to gauge my mood, maybe ready to spin more lies. "Lisa," I said, voice trembling a little. "We need to talk. Now." She looked up at me, her eyes narrowing again, the same way she had that morning. "What do you want, Jake? I told you I didn't mean anything by that message. It's just some stupid flirtation. It's not like I'm cheating on you." I shook my head, feeling the rage bubbling up inside me. "Stop lying. I saw the emails, the messages. You've been sneaking around with Tom for months, during our trips, during our family vacations. How long has this been going on?" Her face twisted into a sneer. "Oh, so now I'm a slut. You think I've been cheating on you all this time just because I talked to Tom? You're crazy, Jake. You always jump to conclusions. Maybe I was just talking. Maybe I was bored. You're acting like I'm some kind of whore." I couldn't believe the words coming out of her mouth. It was like she didn't even care that she just admitted to cheating or that she was lying. Instead, she was trying to turn it around on me, making me out to be the bad guy. That's when I lost it. The anger exploded out of me, and I started yelling, telling her how much I'd trusted her, how she'd betrayed that trust over and over again. Her response was to roll her eyes and say, "You don't know what you're talking about. You're just jealous because I'm better than you. Tom's probably a real man, and I've been craving real sex for years. You're so boring, Jake. You think just because you go to work and watch TV, that's enough. Well, I wanted more. And I found it with someone who actually knows how to satisfy me." That was the moment I realized how deep her contempt ran. She didn't even feel guilty anymore, just angry and dismissive. It was like she was proud of what she'd done. I felt like I was drowning in a mixture of heartbreak and fury. Every ounce of my self-esteem was crumbling. I asked her how long she'd been lying, and she just shrugged, like it was no big deal. The worst part was knowing that I could no longer trust anything she said. Every word, every excuse, every apology that followed felt worthless. She was a pro at lying, and I was starting to see that she'd been cheating on me for years, not just secretly screwing Tom, but probably with others too. The idea that I'd been blind for so long made my stomach turn. I kept thinking about all those nights I'd tried to be understanding, to give her space, all the times I thought she was stressed or busy, while she was probably with her lover. That confrontation didn't end with any resolution, just more screaming, crying, and her storming out of the room. I sat there alone, trying to hold myself together but feeling like I'd just lost everything that mattered. It was the worst feeling I'd ever had, knowing that the person I loved, the person I trusted more than anyone, had been lying to my face for years. And now I had no idea what to do, No idea how to pick up the pieces or even if I could. The next few days were a blur. I didn't sleep much, and when I did, I kept having nightmares about her, about Tom, about everything falling apart. I kept replaying that confrontation in my head, trying to understand how she could be so callous, so dismissive of what she'd done. Every time I thought about her words, I wanted more. I felt physically sick. She wasn't just cheating. She was telling me she was bored of me, bored of our life, and that she'd been seeking excitement elsewhere for years. My friends kept telling me I should just end it, that I deserved better, but I wasn't ready to give up. Part of me still wanted to fix things, to somehow find a way back. But deep down, I knew I was fooling myself. The trust was shattered beyond repair, and trying to rebuild it would be like trying to glue broken glass back together, pointless and dangerous. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that I had to make a decision. Was I going to stay and try to salvage this mess, or was I going to walk away? One night I finally sat her down again. I told her I needed to hear everything, the truth, no more lies. I told her I knew about her affair with Tom, and I asked her to be honest. She looked at me with that bitchy smile and said, "Fine. Yeah, I slept with him. I've been sleeping with him for months. You think I'm happy with you? You're so boring, Jake. You're predictable and useless. I found someone who actually makes me feel alive." That cut deeper than anything else. I'd always known she was difficult, but hearing her say she'd been cheating on me for months, maybe even longer, was like a punch to the gut. My mind raced with anger, humiliation, and heartbreak. I felt my fists clenching, trying not to lose control. I wanted to scream, to hit something, but I held myself back. Instead, I told her she could leave if she wanted. If she was so unhappy here, then just go. I wasn't going to beg her to stay, not after everything she'd done. She packed her bags that night. Her bitchy attitude was unchanged as she threw her clothes into a bag, sneering at me. "You'll regret this. Tom's better than you could ever be. You're nothing but a weak little man. I'll be fine without you." She left without so much as a glance back, leaving me alone, sitting on the couch, feeling like the world had just collapsed. That was the turning point. I'd lost her, not just the wife I thought I knew, but the life I'd built. All the plans, the dreams, the trust, all gone. I felt a strange mix of relief and despair. Relief that I finally knew the truth, but despair because I didn't know how to move forward, how to pick myself up from this. I thought about going after her, begging her to stay, but deep down I knew that would be a mistake. She wanted this, or at least that's how it felt. And if she truly didn't want to be with me, then I had to accept it, even if it tore me apart inside. That night I stayed up all night, staring at the ceiling, trying to understand what I'd done wrong, what I could have done differently. But the truth was, she'd made her choice. She'd chosen Tom, her affair, her lies over me. And I realized with a strange clarity that I deserved better. I deserved someone who loved me, who didn't lie and cheat and betray. I just didn't know how to start rebuilding my life from this chaos. The days that followed were some of the hardest I've ever experienced. I felt like I was walking around in a fog, every moment weighed down by the reality of her betrayal. I kept asking myself how I hadn't seen it coming, how I'd been so blind to the signs. The house felt empty, colder somehow, even with all the memories still lingering in every corner. I'd find myself staring at the door, wondering if she'd come back, if she'd change her mind. But deep down, I knew that was wishful thinking. She had made her choice, and I had to accept it. I started to think about what I really wanted. Part of me wanted to fight for her, to prove that I was still the man she originally married. But another part knew that wasn't possible anymore. She'd shown her true colors, and I couldn't ignore that. I realized that staying in this limbo wouldn't heal anything. I needed to take control, to decide how to move on, whether that meant trying to rebuild myself or just cutting everything loose. I reached out to my closest friend, Mark. I told him everything, the messages, the confrontation, her leaving. He listened patiently, then told me I deserved better. He said I'd been a good husband, but I'd been blind, and now I had to focus on myself. That advice hit hard. I started to think about therapy, about rebuilding my confidence, about finding a way to forgive myself for trusting her so blindly. I knew I couldn't change what had happened, but I could control how I responded to it. The thing that really made me realize how deep the betrayal was, though, was when I found out she'd been lying to her own family, covering up her affair with Tom. Her parents, her sister, they all thought she was just busy working or taking care of the kids. I saw the pain in her sister's eyes when I told her what was really going on. That's when I understood how much damage this had done, not just to me, but to everyone around us. It felt like a betrayal on multiple levels, and it made me question everything about our life together. In the aftermath, I started to focus on healing. I moved out of the house temporarily, stayed with a friend, and threw myself into work and therapy. I knew I needed time to process, to grieve the marriage I thought I had, and to come to terms with the fact that she was never the person I believed she was. It hurt to admit that, but it was the truth. No matter how much I wanted to believe, there was still something worth saving. Deep down, I knew it was over. She had betrayed me in every possible way, and I couldn't keep pretending it didn't hurt. So I took it one day at a time, trying to rebuild my sense of self. I still feel the sting, still wake up sometimes feeling like I've lost everything, but I also know I can't stay stuck in this pain forever. I've learned that trust is fragile and that sometimes love isn't enough to keep two people together. Most importantly, I've learned that I have to prioritize myself now to heal, to grow, and to move forward. And honestly, I'm still not quite there yet, but I'm getting closer. Looking back now, I realize how much I underestimated just how deep betrayal can cut. For years, I thought I knew Lisa, the woman I married, the mother of my children, my partner. But she was hiding a side of herself that I never saw coming. The lies, the secret meetings, the betrayal with Tom, it all shattered that illusion in a way I never thought possible. It's funny how one moment can turn your entire world upside down. I've come to understand that some betrayals aren't just about infidelity, they're about the loss of trust, the erosion of something that seemed unbreakable. When I finally confronted her, I thought I was just going to get answers, but instead, I got a clear picture of how far gone everything was. Her dismissiveness, the way she bragged about finding someone better, made it painfully obvious that she was over me long before I ever found the messages. Now, I'm at a point where I've accepted that I can't fix what's broken. I've started focusing on myself, rebuilding my confidence, rediscovering who I am outside of her shadow. I know I need time to heal, and I also know I'm stronger than I thought. Betrayal hurts like hell, but it also forces you to rethink what you want from life and relationships. It's a painful lesson, but one I had to learn. My advice to anyone in a similar situation: don't ignore the signs, trust your gut. And if you find out someone you love is cheating, don't waste time trying to justify it or make sense of it. Cut your losses and focus on healing. Because at the end of the day, you deserve someone who respects you, who values honesty, and who would never treat you like an afterthought. I'm not perfect, and I still have days when I feel broken, but I know now that I'm better off without her. Life moves on painfully, slowly, but it does. And someday I hope to look back on this chapter not with bitterness, but with a hard-earned sense of strength. I've lost a lot, yes, but I've gained clarity, resilience, and a renewed sense of what I want from life. That's what counts. That's what will get me through.